All right, hello everyone. I wanted to make a quick video because many of us have wondered and have been challenged with the actual act of modding our Morrowind. So I've got a few mods here. This cool one just came, Mages Guild Overhaul Stronghold. It apparently came out today. So has like no endorsements. Let's see. So this is Nexus Mods, nexusmods.com. People, you come on here, you check what the posts say, and but I figured I'm gonna download this and show you guys how to do that. But before I do, I want to show you a more technical way of modding. So let me go into my game really quick. As you can see here, this is a already modded mesh texture of the ebony helmet, so it looks like it has teeth and stuff and all that, right? So what I have to do is, I just wanted to show you that. What I have to do is, actually, I'm going to exit out. So keep that in your mind. I haven't actually done this either. I'm doing this on the fly. But I've modded my Morrowind like this before. So that helmet actually came from this mod, Joe's Ebony Armor mod for OpenMW. But the cool thing about modding Morrowind, if you're manually modding anyway like me, I don't use mod managers. I manually mod my my game, is you can use meshes and textures from one mod and meshes and textures from another, and then have them kind of work together. So for example, I have this mod's helmet. I have this mod's ebony armor. But what if I liked the helmet from, say, this mod? Now, I've never downloaded this mod before, so we're going to see, what happens if I just replace the mesh texture. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's say I really like this armor, and, but I really want this armor's helmet, because I think it looks cool. So what I do is I come to the mod, I'm going to click on Files, and then what I do here, I'm not using a mod manager, I manually download. So before I do that, I'm going to click Preview File Contents to kind of get an idea. So it looks like, oh, you know what, this has a BSA, so I have to update my ini file. I don't want to do all of that. I'll show you guys that for another video or something. That's too much. Okay, so let me not use this mod. Let's try this one. Let's see, what is this? So I'm going to go down, I'm going to click on Files. If you don't know what a BSA is, there's like videos and tutorials out there. Like, you're going to have to do that if you want to install things like Tamriel Rebuilt. But this is just a simple armor mod. I'm surprised you need a BSA. But anyway, we'll address that another day. So let's go to this one. Let's say I like this mod's helmet. I'm going to click on Files. Okay, 2.3 fixed pauldrons, Ebony Armor Shield Gold Edition. It looks like I did download that one, but it doesn't look like I'm using it. Maybe I downloaded it to look at it. So anyway, Preview File Contents. So meshes, textures, and it doesn't have any ESP. So you see all these are NIF files, NIF or DDS, stuff like that. So you may not know what that means, but I'll explain it. Going over to the Mages Guild, if I click on Files and then Preview File Contents, you're going to see something similar. You're going to see all these NIF files in the meshes, and then, the textures. If I scroll down, blah, 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 these are all meshes and textures that, like, redo the whole Mages Guild, apparently. But then at the top here, you have ESP, or ESM. ESP and ESM are basically the same thing. ESP is kind of like more like just an add-on or plugin, but it effectively works the same as an ESM. When I have the option, I usually just pick ESMs, because that's more of like the, I guess, how would I explain it? The mother file, the parent file, but they both work. It's fine. But this is when you download the ESP, you have to activate it in your in our case, OpenMW launcher. MXGE, whatever, has its own launcher, so you have to activate, you have to turn it on. So I'll show you that. But notice these meshes and textures. These are just that, meshes and textures. There's no ESP to activate. So let me show you what that means. Okay, so let's go to we're going to change out just the helmet, so I can I can do that if I wanted to. Manual download. And I am not currently a member. I don't have a paid subscription, so I'm going to click slow download, which honestly doesn't take too long. It's not that slow. I already have it. So then what you're going to need to do is you're going to have to install an app or something. It's called Zip Drive or something, ZZip, or whatever kind of like zip file. So you're going to need, maybe I should explain that too for those of you who don't. So let's go, like, if you go to App Store, Apps and Features, so, ZZip Opener. So you download, you go to, I don't know, wherever you go to get to your computer's App Store, figure that out. I use ZZip Opener. And what I do is, I have a folder here that says MW Mods, Morrowind Mods. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to come up to, this is an unzipped, it says archive file right here. See this? Hold on. Archive file. So I'm going to right click on my mouse, then I'm going to go down to my ZZip, after I installed it through my App Store. I'm going to click extract files, ... Okay, so once I've done that, now it pops up this little window. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to this little box with these 3 dots. Click that, because this is going to tell my zipped file where to go. So I know my MW mods is in my downloads. So I have one for my Daggerfall mods, my Skyrim mods. So let's click on my Morrowind mods. I'm going to click on that. So once that's highlighted, I click OK. And then OK. So it's unzipped. So now I go to my MW mods. And these are some mods that I've used before. Usually I delete them, to clear up space. But hold on, let's go back. It's called 2.3 fixed pauldrons. So 2.3 fixed pauldrons. I click on it, double click, data files, meshes, textures. So how exactly I'm going to do this? This is everything back, shiny, blah, blah, blah. Helmet. So here's my texture for helmet. Let's see what the meshes looks like. So so here's what I have to do. So what I'm going to do is, I got my meshes and textures here. Let me come over here. I'm going to, actually, hold on. I'm going to type in file down here, File Explorer. I'm going to open up another File Explorer. And of course, this is all after I've already downloaded OpenMW, which I have links in my videos of how to do. So I'm going to go to Local Disk, Programs Files, x86, because that's where I directed it in the first place in my initial install. Bethesda Softworks, Morrowind, Data Files. Okay, so once I'm in my data files, all of these folders are like the files of my game. Meshes, textures. What are meshes? Meshes are basically like the skeletons of every thing in the game. Trees, characters, whatever. Textures are the things that wrap around the meshes that create the images and the colors and the textures. Obviously, I have my sound files, music, blah blah blah. All these white files here, those are my actual ESPs. Remember we talked about the ESPs and ESMs? That's where these go. These are going to go right here. I'm going to activate, you put these in here just under your folders. Now, if I wanted to completely replace my my ebony armor, like all of it, not just the helmet, I would do this, I would highlight both, and then I would drag this over here, and then I would let go. I'm not going to do that, but I would drag it over here, let go, and then it would automatically drop. The meshes would go into the meshes folder. The textures would go into the textures folder. Okay, so you do it just like that. Don't get confused in like open your meshes folder like this and then drag your meshes folder in here like this. No, that's bad. So drag and drop, both of them in here, just over here, not into one of these files because that'll mess it up. You don't want to do that. So that it's as simple as that. Now, what I have to do is I'm going to create another folder. I call it OG for the original. And I'm going to create 2 new folders in here, mesh and text. So this is going to be my mesh, this is going to be my texture for my original file. So look, meshes, this is under the A category, so I go to meshes. Okay, let me scroll down to find A. So I know this is lowercase a, but it's the same thing. It doesn't matter. Then I'm in A and I'm looking for A underscore ebony underscore helmet nif. Let me see if I can find that. So I scroll down, A underscore E comes after B, C, D, E, well, let me see here. Ebony helmet nif. That's what we're looking for, right? You highlight it. A ebony helmet nif. Okay, so this is my file. So what I'm going to do is, because I don't want to erase it, because if you drag this in like I showed you before, it will overwrite this, and I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my OG file, mesh file that I created, and I'm going to drag this in here. So now that's in there. Okay. So when I want to go back and change it to what it was, I can. Then I go into textures. Here is TX underscore A ebony helmet. Okay, so let me back out of here. Let me go to my textures folder and scroll down. I have to find this file in here. So it's TX. So let's, alphabet. We know our alphabet, right? From elementary school. TXA. E comes before L. TXA. Where is it? Ebony female cuirass. Where is it? TXA. Ebony helmet. Okay, it looks like I have multiple helmets. TXA. Okay, so okay, so this is the one. TXA ebony helmet. See how I have helmet N, helmet spec. So those are probably like other mods that I have from other, games or downloads. But this is the original, so I want to make sure that I don't want to, if I drag this in here, it will overwrite this, so I don't want to do that. So let me back out of here and make sure that this is the right one, same, spelled the exact same way. Let me go into my textures, OG, text. I'm going to drag my original in here. Okay, so now I want my new helmet. So let me put I'm going to drag this in here now. It's going to say you need to provide administrator permission, blah. I click continue. That's what you want to do. Now, if I hadn't taken out the original texture, it would say, do you want to overwrite this file? And if you do want to do that, then you click OK. So there, it transferred. Now let me go back and do it to my meshes. Let's go down to the letter A and meshes A ebony helmet, and I'm going to drop this in here. There it is. Okay, so that's it. Let's log into our game. And I'm just going to start one of my files. It doesn't really matter. These are my load screens, by the way. Aren't they nice? I also got a new backsplash here. But anyway, this is my last game. I'm going to, let's COC to Balmora. Console command Balmora. And let's go see if it worked. Oh, the anticipation. I haven't done it with this specific mod yet, so it should work. I've done it with like other texture and mesh replacing mods, but that's the cool thing about manually downloading in Morrowind, is that you can like pick and choose. You don't have to copy and paste over like the entire file. And there we have it. There is our changed helmet, and I can even put it on. Now the icon looks the same. I didn't change the icon, so it still is the same icon on the other helmet. So anyway, it's as simple as that. Now again, if I had, you know, copy and pasted the entire mesh and textures folder, then it would have changed the entire arm. But I don't want to do that. So in any case, I'm gonna change it back, because I don't. Although that is actually a cool helmet. It does look cool, but I'm not gonna do that right now. So it's as simple as I take it, I click on it, and I bring it back over here. Okay. Then I go into my OG file, mesh, and then I bring the original back in here. No problem. It's really not that complicated. And the cool thing about doing it this way is that, you know, you can't really do this. I haven't modded Oblivion, but I have modded Skyrim. You can't really do stuff like this in Skyrim because it gets all wacky and the game will crash. So, you know, there's a lot more flexibility in modding Morrowind. So, you know, that's why part of the reason why, you know, Morrowind's so enjoyable is like the modding community is pretty awesome. All right, so let's do the same thing. Let's scroll down. Let's find TX. What are we doing here? TX_A. Ebony. So E comes after C, D, E. Where's Ebony? Whoa. I think I just saw it. Ebony. Helmet, right here. Okay. So, let me come back here. Go into textures because that's the new one. So TXA Ebony Helmet goes there. I just drag it right back out. Come here, original textures, and then put the original back in. Continue, and that's it. Okay, so we'll go check to make sure that that's all working fine and dandy. But for now, let's click out of here. Actually, go back in there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back and let's do the Mages Guild. So same deal. I click on Files, Manual Download. I have OAAB data, Tamriel data, so I do have those. Those are just like resource packages for like meshes and textures and things like that. And well, this is a big file, so it's going to take a second here. Yeah. Anyway, I'll get out of here. La 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 la. Okay, so while we're waiting, once this download finishes, what you're going to see is, remember, I told you about the ESPs and ESMs. They go like here, data files, right in here. So when you open up your Morrowind, you go to data files. Let me highlight this so it's easier for you guys to see. You'll notice these are all of my mods. Some are checked, some aren't, because like Castle Wars, that has a mesh conflict. I have it in here, but I haven't activated it. You know, I click it, check yes, check no. I haven't activated it because it creates a mesh conflict with Wizard's Island. And so whenever someone, whoever gets around to creating like a patch for it, then, you know, tell Yana I had that. Wrath of God, I'm waiting for that. That's a mod for increasing Vivek's power. So if you want to get frisky at the end of the game and battle Vivek you can with a challenge. So my point is that this is where it goes, and you're going to activate it or unactivate it. So now you'll notice on those mesh and texture files that I installed, they don't require an ESP. So this has finished downloading. Here it is. Again, I'm going to right click, extract files. I'm going to direct it to my downloads Morrowind mods folder, and it's going to load. Open it up. What exactly was it called again? Mages Guild Overhaul. Mages Guild. So I click on it. Okay, so here's the full version, and here's the meshes and textures. So look, there's full version, God, the city version, maximum compatibility version, redesigned Vivek version. I don't know what those different versions are because I've never downloaded this before. So back on the website, let's see what it says. There are 4 different ESPs options. Pick one, and only one. You only need one. Full version, blah, blah, blah. So, you'll read this. I'm not going to read it for you. But read, which one do you want to play with? One that's like compatible with other mods or something like that? Whatever. So, in any case, what I do is, if I wanted to download this entire thing, same deal. I'm going to highlight my meshes and textures, drag and drop, and if I did that, those would automatically get dropped into the appropriate textures and meshes files. Then, let's say I wanted to do the full version. I'm going to drag and drop, and I'll even do it. It'll look like this, continue. So, it's in there. And then I click on my launcher, and then what I do is I go down to find my, wherever it is. So in my launcher, let's see, where is it? Oh, here it is. And there's like a little highlighted thing. This file needs to load after OAAB data. So, that goes into load order. So I would check it if I wanted to activate it, but I'm not. And then, where's OOAB data is here. So I would just drag it. Oops. I would drag it below OAB data and then activate it. Now this, once I check this little box, this will activate all the meshes and textures. If I unclick this, even with the meshes and textures files from the download, they won't be activated. It'll retain like the old files, unless of course they like are overwritten or something. But always create a backup. What does it mean to create a backup? For example, here, let me exit out of here. So what I'm going to do is, downloads in my Morrowind MW folders, you'll notice I have data file df backup data files. Has all my everything. What I did was I come to program files, Bethesda, Morrowind, data files. I right click, copy. There's a lot of data in here. I think there's like 20 gigabytes or something or more, 25 gigabytes in my data files. But what I did was I copy. Then in my Morrowind mods, I've got several backups. This backup was like the first one I made. This one I made on June 30th. This one I made on July 12th, etc. So, before I, do anything, you want to create a backup, because let's say you download a mesh, something and it conflicts. And I did that before and I ruined my game. And all like the rocks and the trees were like flashing different colors because I, downloaded a mod that was from like years ago, and it was you always check your date. Like usually if like I use intelligent textures. This is my mod that I use for my to make the game's graphics better, basically. And what I had done was I found some other textures replacer. This was created in 2022. I found a texture that I didn't realize went back to like 2008 or something, and I downloaded it and it ruined it, and I didn't create a backup. So that way I could just like delete what I would do is, you know, I would come in here and I could just delete data files. I could do this and then delete, and then come back to my backup, and then, you know, copy, and then, you know, paste it back to the original file right in here. I would just do this and then paste, right? So, and then the game would be completely fixed. So it only takes a second. I have an SSD. I would highly recommend you get an SSD if you're doing all this modding, because when I modded on my cancel. When I modded my HDD, you know, it took forever. Like literally, when I downloaded Tamriel Rebuilt, it took probably 24 hours for it to finish downloading. I installed it on my SSD, and I've got I forgot which SSD. I think it's a good one. Let me look at my other saves. What do I got going on here? I forgot what brand of let me see. I don't remember. I don't have the box. Anyway, I have an SSD, and it literally took a matter of minutes. Literally took a matter of minutes. It was a difference of minutes to change out you know, my mods, or to like download, and totally worth it. Now installing my SSD was tricky. You know, you got to be savvy like that, because I had to get a new operating system for free, but I managed to get one for free. I'm not gonna tell you how though. I did it completely legally though, I swear. But anyway, yeah, there you have it. Hopefully, oh, you know what we didn't do? Oh, something's attacking me. Let me guess, it's a worm. Of course. Let's go back to my house in Balmora. Now remember, we changed the mesh and texture of our helmet back to the original. So let's go see if it actually did that. I'm just gonna load so I don't waste time walking. But I really like these screens, those loading screens. So let's go back up and oh, I must not have had the helmet at this save. Sorry. Let's save. Let's load here. I must not have had the helmet. Unless what I did broke it and now it's completely invisible. Let's go see. I don't think I had the helmet at that point in my save. Well, I hope you guys are enjoying my videos. I hope they helped, because I know modding Morrowind can be very intimidating because there's literally almost no videos. The one that I just showed you is actually pretty detailed, and you know, that's all it takes. I mentioned the BSAs, but I'm not going to go into that. I can go into that briefly. Look, see, yep, there's the old mesh, and it works. So I can do it briefly. BSAs, what are those? So what you do is you go into your same where your data files are, and see this file right here, Morrowind, with the cog on it. Click that. This is called your ini file, and you scroll down all the way to the bottom, and under archives, these are your BSAs. So when you install Tribunal, Blood Moon, TR data is like Tamriel Rebuilt, Wizard's Island, I have the Keening mod. So you just do archive space 0, that's your first one. Tribunal always comes first, equals tribunal.bsa. Then what you do is you have to do file, save. So in the case of that ebony armor, what I would do is I come down here and I do archive space 8, equal sign, and let's say the name of the BSA is ebony armor.bsa, then what I do is I'm going to do file, save. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to don't save. And then here's the thing that tricks a lot of people. It's not enough to just do that, to update your ini file. You have to come here, go to settings. I uncheck this box right here, import add-on plugin selection. Don't do that because it's going to create a, see the data files, all these lists. I have like several lists, but I only want one. You only need one. So I uncheck that. Then I click run settings importer. Once I do that, it automatically uploads my new saved ini file. Then you're ready to play the game. Because if you don't do that and you load it in, the armor would probably be loaded, but it'll look purple, like there's missing meshes. And you have to do that for Tamara build or any other mod that requires a BSA. Wizard's Island requires that too. But in any case, hopefully that helped, and hopefully you enjoyed it. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. Like, subscribe, or not. It's not that important. The universe is a very fascinating place. It's not difficult to wonder and ask, like, what the heck even is the universe? Like, what are we even doing right now?